So Ted, what's up with the getup, man? You playing a monk again or something?
Nope, I'm going another route. Wizard.
Oh, right. You must be leaning into the background, acolyte or cloistered scholar. You know, the kind of monk that's like asceticism, style.
Nah, I want some new sweet stuff like my Psionic Focus. So I'm leaning into the new Unearthed Arcana for the Psionicist.
All right, I guess we should discuss that. The new Psionic Subclasses in 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons with this Unearthed Arcana review. Welcome to Nerdarchy. For nerds, by nerds, I'm Nerdarchy Dave, and as usual, I'm hanging out with this nerd.
Nerdarchy Ted.
Nerdarchy is a place where we like to discuss news, views, and homebrews for 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. Sometimes we even discuss other role-playing games.
So if you don't want to miss a single video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and attune to that notification bell.
We've got another Unearthed Arcana. It is quite the beefy one. We're actually ahead of the 8 ball on this one, so to speak, because it's not even up on D&D Beyond yet. So I must use the dead trees as we are often have to do. So before we get into this video, though, we do want to take a moment to thank our sponsor, Nord Games. They have tons of great stuff to add to your game. If you're not adverse to using playtest material like Unearthed Arcana, there's no reason why you wouldn't want to use third-party content. Right now on the Nerdarchy website, Doug has been doing this awesome Mandalorian mashup with the Skullduggery products from Nord Games, but they have so many things over there: critical hit decks, luck decks, objects of intrigue decks. They just have so many encounter decks. There's so much stuff over there. They've got monster books. Just go over there, check it out. If you're a DM, you're going to love all the resources they're going to put at your fingertips.
There's really so much stuff that you can use to enhance your material and cut down your prep time because you're going to be able to dive in and use these products right away.
But not only that, they're giving us a special promo code, Nerdarchy20, not Nerdarchy, but Nerdarchy20 for a 20% discount. A link as well as a promo code will be in the description below. So let us jump into this Unearthed Arcana and discuss what we've got going on.
All right, so we have 9 pages of material, 3 subclasses, some new spells, some new feats, some thematic versioning of how to take some of the spells that are already there and use them with a psionic bent.
Well, more specifically, we have 2 new feats. We have a cantrip and 7 spells ranging from 1st to 6th level, and that's all new material. And then what is it? It's like 5 cantrips and like 95 spells. They give you a list of going, hey, if you want a more flavored psionic character, use these kind of spells in your game.
95 is quite a lot. As Dave says, they're scattered throughout all the spell levels for their suggested. So if you want to make a psionic wizard, these are the spells that they recommend that you take as your norm. And the Unearthed Arcana actually goes and breaks it down as to whether it's a ritual, whether it's from the player's handbook or Xanathar's guide. So it makes it very easy to find, what spell it is and do I have access to that material.
Now, in the new onslaught of Unearthed Arcana we've gotten, though there's 3 subclasses in this particular Unearthed Arcana, we got one more prior to this as well. We got the Aberrant Mind Sorcerer Origin. So we're getting a bit more. Who knows if they're going to actually do a Mystic down the road of full class and then have subclasses as well. We don't know. This could literally be the death knell for the Mystic.
I would say so. I mean, the fact that they've taken magic and imbued it across all of the different subclasses, and here they're like, well, we could make a whole separate class and make number 14, because we've seen the Artificer in the release of Eberron, but it's highly likely, and I would stake a nice solid bet on the release of this says we're not going to see the Mystic, we're not going to see a psionic class. They're adding psionics to the classes, and we might see.
I would add a caveat to that.
Yeah,
Wizards is very sensitive to the surveys they put out. And if things pull high enough, if the percentages are high enough, they will go rethink what they're doing because they're looking to make the most fans happy as possible to sell the most books as possible. So if enough people go, no, I don't like it like this, I want the Mystic, they probably will go back to the drawing board. You don't quote me on it, but
Yeah.
that's a guess on my part.
That is a good solid point. You know, the Wizards is responsive like that. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
So first up, we have the Psychic Warrior. Awakening to the psionic power within themselves. A psychic warrior is a fighter who augments their physical might with psychically infused weapon strikes, telekinetic lashes, and barriers of mental force. As a psychic warrior, you might have honed your psionic abilities through your own disciplined practice, unlocked it under the tutelage of a master, or developed it at an academy dedicated to wielding the mind's power as both weapon and shield.
There's a lot there to unpack. It sounds really cool. It's very thematic. I'm not certain if the class that's presented here, strikes true to the psychic warrior of old, but it sounds like it does.
Yeah.
So
they're trying to paint the picture anyway. See it.
So 3rd and 10th level abilities, you get Psionic Armament. You can channel your psychic power to magically augment your prowess. When you finish a long rest, choose whether to augment your defenses or your strikes. The chosen benefit lasts until you finish a long rest. Augmented defenses. When you or a creature you can see within 30 feet of you takes damage, you can use your reaction to roll a d10 and reduce the amount of damage taken by the number rolled. When you reach 10th level in this class, the die changes to a d12. I like that ability. I think it's really cool. It gives the fighter another thing that they can do with their reaction. When they build on these type of mechanics, I really do love it. But we also have the choice of augmented strikes. Once during each of your turns, when you hit a creature with a weapon attack, you can also deal 1d4 psychic damage to that target. When you reach 10th level in this class, the psychic damage increases to 1d6.
So that's going to compile over time. You at the beginning, you're going to decide if you're going offense or defense, and then that's going to kind of lock you in. They're both going to be useful, and it's going to come up over and over again.
I know. If I had to choose between them, I would go for the defenses. I think a D10 every round that I can use my reaction to just shove off some hit points to an ally. I mean that's gonna add up quick.
I mean it does, but so does the damage, because when you start factoring other things in like critical hits and stuff, that starts compounding. And sometimes how many times does the monster just survive by like a hit point or something?
That is true.
So it just depends. Do you want to go offense? Do you want to go defense? You've got the option here. But that's not all you get. You get Telekinetic Hand at 3rd level as well. You learn the Mage Hand cantrip. You can cast it without components, and you can make the Spectral Hand invisible. Intelligence is your spellcasting ability for this spell.
Not bad. It definitely gives that, okay, well, I can manipulate, objects with my mind. That makes it feel like you are a mental mage. You are a psionicist of your own regards. With 7th level, we get Strength of Mind. As a bonus action, you can telekinetically lash out at a creature you can see within 20 feet of you. The target makes a strength save. Your DC is 8, plus your proficiency, plus int mod. On a failed save, the target takes 2d6 force, plus your intelligence mod, and is telekinetically moved 15 feet directly toward or away from you, your choice. If they save, they take half damage or not moved. And you can use the feature a number of times per day equal to your int mod, and you get them back after a long rest.
All right, so this one, so now we're really doubling down on that. Intelligence is becoming super important because of the number of times you're going to get to do this. It's extra damage. It's nice. It's a bonus action. Not bad. Depending on what kind of fighter you're playing, though, I don't know how good of ability this is. If you think of the great weapon fighter fighting with a greatsword, who, if they crit or kill something, if they have the great weapon fighting feat, then they could be potentially swinging that sword again anyway. That could probably come up. That may come up more times than your intelligent bonus modifier, and it ends up being more damage in the long run.
Right, but it's something to fall back on if you aren't fighting with 2 weapons, if you don't have, something to regularly use your bonus action for. And let's face it, a fighter is not going to be maxing out their intelligence. So I would say that the average psychic warrior is probably going to be able to use his ability only 2 to 3 times a day.
That's my point. You might be better off using that big weapon and taking that feat. You're probably, because that's going to come up more often than this ability.
Right, true.
So, I mean, that would be the only feedback I have on that. Maybe making it a short rest instead of a long rest would make it more palatable.
Yeah.
And also, the fighter is kind of the short rest
King.
King anyway, so why not double down on that? So 10th level, we get Telekinetic Bulwark. Bulwark?
Bulwark.
When you take the attack action, you can forego one of your attacks to project a bastion of sonic power in a 10-foot radius around yourself. It lasts for 1 minute or until you are incapacitated. For the duration, you and your allies in that area gain a benefit of half cover and have advantage on strength saving throws. Once you use this feature, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest or until you have used your second wind feature. So essentially what they're saying is you can use this basically every short rest, because I would just blow my second wind on a short rest before the short rest anyway, just to refresh this ability if that's what it took.
And that is it's a really cool ability. You know, getting half cover and an advantage on strength saves is pretty cool. It's not amazing, but we're seeing a new mechanic of some other class ability refreshing when you use a different class ability.
Yes.
I love that. I mentally highlighted this.
Let me point it out. They're what you're actually getting from this, and it's not just you, it's you and your allies. +2 to armor class. +2 to your deck saves.
That's true.
Because you have half cover. And advantage on strength saving throws. That's kind of nice. It's a pretty sweet ability. And it's going to last the combat.
Right. So I like the ability, and I love that they're reaching out with, essentially new mechanics of refreshing when you use something else.
Yeah, I'm just envisioning the waves of psychic energy flowing out from your psychic warrior.
Yeah.
Kind of gently caressing your companions while pushing away your enemies. All right, maybe it's a little bit creepy. But hey, you know what? It might save your life.
Right. And that's also the same level that their third level ability for either reducing damage or doing more damage goes up, as we mentioned earlier. 15th level, we get Agonizing Strikes. Your attacks can channel psychic agony. When you hit a creature with a weapon attack, you can also deal 2d10 psychic damage to that target and force it to make a con save. The DC is the same as before, 8, proficiency mod, int mod. Unless the save succeeds, the target falls prone and it suffers disadvantage on ability checks until the end of your next turn. And you can use it a number of times a day, equal until your intelligence mod, and they refresh on a long rest.
So this one's nice. It's like you're not swapping anything out for it. You're just adding to what you're already doing. It doesn't require an extra action. Oh, and the fighter traditionally is actually pretty good at using other actions. They have options usually. But overall, this is a fun ability. You're going to get a little boost. It's going to help out.
You beat them down so much that they just collapse to the ground. I love it. At
18th level, we're going to get Psychic Dreadnought. The power of your mind suffuses your entire being, making you nigh unstoppable force on the battlefield. Using your reaction when you take damage, you can give yourself the following benefit for 1 minute or until you're incapacitated. Now, I would like to say the flavor text on this one is way cooler than what you actually get. At the start of each of your turns, you regain 10 hit points, which isn't bad. Your walking speed increases by 10 feet. If you're prone, you can stand up, spending 5 feet of movement. Once you activate this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest. All right, so healing 10 is cool. Getting the faster movement's cool. Champion gets part of this at 10th level. And it just happens automatically, I believe, for them.
So,
as a capstone ability, not impressed. Love the flavor text, though.
you be making you a nigh unstoppable force. I regenerate 10 hit points.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I don't necessarily, see about that.
And I'm as fast as the barbarian.
No, you're not.
I did. Don't they only get a +10? I don't know.
I thought they went up to 50.
No, that is the monk.
Oh, that's the monk. Okay. So you get faster. I don't think that makes you unstoppable on the battlefield.
Nigh unstoppable. It's fun to say anyway.
Nigh unstoppable is fun to say, but Psychic Dreadnought abilities, I don't necessarily agree.
It's not terrible. I've seen worse abilities. I will say that.
That is true. All right, so we move on to Soul Knife. A roguish archetype that you can choose at 3rd level. A soul knife possesses powerful psionic potential. They channel this reservoir of inner magic into tangible blades of psychic energy, striking at their victims' minds. They find easy employment as members of Thieves' Guild, becoming particularly sought after as assassins, since their signature psychic blades leave behind no visible wounds. As a soul knife, your psionic abilities might have haunted you since you were a child, only revealing their potential when your psychic knives first appeared, or you might have sought out a reclusive order of psionic assassins and spent years learning how to manifest your deadly blades.
So first up, what we're going to get is what you would expect for a soul knife, and that is Psychic Blade at 3rd level. As a bonus action, you can create magical blade of shimmering psychic power for one or both hands. While one of your hands is manifesting a blade, you can't hold anything in that hand. Who cares? You're stabbing shit anyway. You can dismiss one or both blades at any time, no action required, and they disappear if you're incapacitated. The blade is a simple melee weapon with the finesse, light, and thrown properties. It has a normal range of 30 feet and a long range of 60 feet. It deals a die 6 psychic damage on a hit. If you throw the blade as part of an attack, it vanishes immediately after it hits or misses its target. The blade otherwise disappears the instant it leaves your hand.
It's pretty nice. There is no refresh. You can do it as often as you want. Looking at the flavor text and the ability, like there's no visible wound when you stab somebody with these things because it's all doing psychic damage. There's a lot of things that could be, extrapolated and taken from there and could really be a very fun campaign arc if you're dealing with one of these guys.
It's very Psylocke-like, so it's cool. I like it.
So, also with 3rd level, you get Psionic Enhancement. You can focus your psionic power to give yourself an extraordinary ability. When you finish a long rest, you can gain one of the following benefits of your choice, which lasts until you finish a long rest. You can communicate telepathically with any creature you can see within 30 feet of you. If the creature can speak at least one language, it can respond to you telepathically. You can increase your walking speed by 5 feet, or your hit point maximum and your current hit points increase by an amount equal to your intelligence modifier plus your rogue level.
Those are good abilities, and you get them all day, so they're gonna last for you. It's pretty cool. I like them.
So I would say the walking speed is probably the lowest of the abilities, but when you look at the cunning action, that is going to extrapolate over
time, and depending on what race you're playing. So there's some definitely factors that could definitely add to it. Next up, 9th level, we have Terrifying Blade. Your Psychic Blade can now stoke terror within a target. When you damage a creature with your Psychic Blade, you can force the target to make a Wisdom saving throw, DC equal to 8, plus your Proficiency modifier, plus your Intelligence modifier, the normal stuff. On a failed save, the creature is frightened of you until the start of your next turn. On a successful save, the creature isn't frightened and is immune to Terrifying Blade for 24 hours.
Not bad, making them afraid of you. It's got some useful factors that you can be able to play with there.
And it just happens, right? You don't have to worry about boom. They're going to keep being afraid of you until they make that saving throw. Because you're freaking scary because you have mind knives coming out of your hands.
13th level, we get Psychic Veil. You can weave a veil of psionic static to mask your physical presence. As an action, you can magically become invisible along with anything you are wearing or carrying for 10 minutes. This invisibility ends if you make an attack or if you force a creature to make a saving throw. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your intelligence mod, and you regain them all back when you finish a long rest.
So you basically get invisibility. Nice. I mean, you can disappear. You're already pretty stealthy anyway, but this is just going to guarantee the disappearance.
Indeed.
Rend Mind is our capstone ability, 17th level. You can sweep your Psychic Blade directly through a creature's mind. As an action, while you have at least one Psychic Blade manifested, you can force a creature you can see within 30 feet of you to make an intelligence saving throw. If you are hidden from the target, it has disadvantage on the save. On a failed save, the target takes 12 die 6 psychic damage and is stunned until the start of your next turn. On a successful save, the target takes half as much damage and isn't stunned. One of your Psychic Blades vanishes after using this feature. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your intelligence modifier, and you regain all expensive uses when you finish a long rest. Oh, I misread that at first. At first, I thought this was like an actual attack. And not that you use your action to do it, which made me think that it would then stack with your sneak attack.
Yeah, so this was something that there's a lot to unpack. Number one, it is not an attack, so there is no critting with it. There is no stacking your sneak attack with it. They're making a save against this ability. It's interesting. It's going to work out really well with your Psychic Veil because you become invisible, sneak up behind somebody, and give them disadvantage on their save because they had no idea it was coming. I think making one of your blades vanish when you use it, there's no action economy for me of like, okay, well, all right, I have to just use my bonus action to get it back.
Right, and you can still have one.
I could still have one. I feel like that was wasted ink, in my opinion. I think that's worthless. Using a number of times a day equal to your intelligence modifier, that's going to come up, and it's going to stack. right with that veil. Like, okay, well, I can go invisible. I can do this thing. I'm going to use these things together. That's what it screams to me.
I don't even know if this needs at times a day though. Like you're not doing any more damage than you would if you just snuck attack them.
Well, I think at 19th or 20th level they get 10 die 6 as their cap. This is doing 12 die 6, and it's
yeah,
just...
but you would add a weapon attack to that as well, so it brings it even closer. So it's like at first I was like, oh, so they're gonna get a cool psionic assassinate ability, but maybe not so much. It's really just a cool attack. Like it's just a trade really for one of your regular attacks. If you're doing psychic damage, I don't think it really adds very much more. Like for your capstone ability to say, well, you can do a whole die 6 more, like I'm not overly impressed with that now that I realize that it works independently and by itself. It should stack with your sneak attack or something, I think, because the assassin already does that.
Okay, yeah, I see that. It's cool thematically. And to do that much psychic damage where things are very rarely going to have that resistance, it's a way to...
And also, I'm looking at it as this is a 17th level ability.
True.
Things are doing lots of damage at this point anyway. So that brings us to our last one, the Arcane Tradition.
All right, so this is Psionics. Wizards study magical power in all forms, including the magic of psionics. Those wizards who follow the tradition of psionics hone the magical potential of their own minds. Sometimes called psionicists or mentalists, these wizards interact with the multiverse through the lens of their psionic aptitude and awareness. Psionicists channel their magic by focusing their minds. By doing so, they can transcend their physical bodies, adopting forms of pure thought, casting spells psionically to bypass the need for components, and perceiving the world with a broader range of senses. As a member of the Psionics tradition, you might have awoken your psionic potential through the strain of your esoteric studies, or perhaps you joined a scholarly order dedicated to unlocking the magic of the mind.
So now we jump into its second level, Psionic Focus. You have learned to channel psionic energy through a special object, a Psionic Focus. You gain the object with this feature. See your Psionic Focus sidebar, that's in here as well, you can check out. While your Psionic Focus is on your person, you gain the following benefits. The object is a spellcasting focus for you. When you roll psychic or force damage for any of your wizard spells, that you can re-roll any of those damage dice that rolls a 1, but must use the new roll instead.
I gotta stop you right there. Magic Missile does force damage.
Yes, it does.
That now gives you that extra chance of bumping up all of your missiles. I think that's a pretty incredible ability considering how often
it was put in there solely for the mind bullets. If your Psionic Focus is lost, you can magically recreate it by meditating for 1 hour during a short or long rest. Then the time the focus appears in your hand. So you can lose it, but you can't lose it for all. And then they have a pretty long sidebar on what is your Psionic Focus, and essentially it can be whatever you want it to be. You could have made it. It could have showed up. Someone could have given it to you.
Yeah. Easy peasy, but it's worth reading if you're going to play.
It's going to give you the flavor.
Yeah. So second level, we also get Psionic Devotion. Your study of psionics begins to unleash your mind's potential. When you gain this feature, choose one of the following cantrips: Friends, Mage Hand, or Message. You learn that cantrip if you don't know it already, and it doesn't count against the number of wizard cantrips you know. While your psionic focus is on your person, you can cast the chosen cantrip as a bonus action, requiring no components, and with a modification listed below. If you choose Friends, when the spell ends, the target doesn't become hostile towards you. Mage Hand, you can make the hand invisible when you cast a spell, and controlling the spell is a bonus action for you. Or if you cast Message, you don't need to point towards the target or whisper the message out loud.
Oh my God, they made Friends useful. That is amazing. And
it only took 5 years.
Yeah, so that's pretty nice. Those are great cantrips. They get better. Bumping Friends makes me happy for some reason. We're going to get that, and we're going to do more damage whenever we make force or psychic attacks. So you're really going to want to be careful about the spells that you're choosing in order to really double down and maximize what you're getting from it. Now, 6th level, we're going to get Thought Form. While you're carrying your Psionic Focus, you can use a bonus action to magically transform your body into pure psionic energy. Transformation lasts for 10 minutes until you use a bonus action to assume your normal form, or until you're incapacitated or die. While in thought form, you are a figure of luminous psychic energy with your Psionic Focus hovering within. Your form can appear as anything you wish, but it is obviously magical, is the same size as you, and sheds dim light in a 5-foot radius. Any other equipment you are wearing or carrying transforms with you and melds into your thought form. You also gain the following benefits. Psionic spellcasting. When you cast a spell while in thought form, you can cast the spell psionically. If you do so, the spell doesn't require verbal, somatic, or material components that lack a gold cost, so it basically makes you seem like a psionicist at this point. Psychic resilience. You gain resistance to psychic damage and to bludgeoning, piercing, slashing damage from non-magical attacks, which is nice. You transform using this feature a number of times equal to your intelligence modifier, minimum of once, and you gain all your spend uses when you finish the long rest. So, eventually you'll do it 5 times a day, essentially, which isn't bad. It's a cool ability, but again, you're using that Psionic Focus for stuff, and that really makes me think about the fact that now this particular wizard is hampered by 2 items instead of 1. You're a wizard already. You need a spell book in order to study your spells, but not only that, you also need your spell focus to use your tradition abilities,
Right.
which kind of doubles down on the weakness of the wizard already. I think I would have liked to seen that Psionic Focus take on an even greater role and get rid of the spell book. You just need your Psionic Focus. You store your spells in there. You could call it back to you, making it even more powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Psionic Focus was something that happened in other versions of the game, and I even believe the Mystic had a version of it where you basically had this psychic or psionic reservoir that you would hold on to and not expend, but you could use it to make yourself better or in clutch moments or empower what you're doing. So they've changed it from that to this physical object. And I really enjoyed that in earlier editions. I'm okay with the new rendition, but like if you're gonna vest in it, I feel like you should just go all or nothing.
Right. Yeah, those are all great points, and I can't argue with them. 10th level, we get Mental Discipline. Your mind's power expands to greater heights. When you gain this feature, choose one of the following spells: Dominate Person, Scrying, or Telekinesis. You can add that spell to your spell book and cast it without components. You can also cast the chosen spell once without expending a spell slot. After you do so, you regain the ability to cast the spell without a slot when you finish a long rest. So I think that's a cool ability. You get a free casting of a really good spell. It's added to your spell book, which means you can still prepare it and use it, outside of that. So like it's kind of going back to, that concept from earlier editions of like a favored spell.
Yeah, and I also like the idea that you're just getting another spell, because that's the other hard part about being a wizard is you got to find all your spells. It's like catching Pokemon. 10th level, we're going to get another ability called Empowered Psionics. When you deal psychic or force damage with a wizard spell, you can add your intelligence modifier to the damage against one of the spell's targets, which is going to double down on what we were doing earlier with being better at doing more damage with force or psychic attacks. So that's cool.
14th level, we get Thought Travel. While using your thought form, you have a flying speed equal to your walking speed and can hover. You can move through other creatures and objects as if they were difficult terrain. You take 1d10 force damage if you end your turn inside an object. If you return to your normal form while inside an object, you are shunted to the nearest unoccupied space, and you take 1d10 force damage for every 5 feet traveled. So, not, huge, but it's doubling down on that thought form ability and just making that form even better.
You're incorporeal now. So next up is Psionic Spells, and basically this was the list we're talking about. The 5, they're basically saying if you want to play a Psionic type character, choose these spells. That is going to give you the flavor. I think also what you're going to find is a lot of these spells also are going to have that psychic or that force damage, which is going to be really important to you. It goes in some fluff stuff, but with that, we're going to jump into some of the new spells. Maybe we'll just pick out a few and not go over all of them, but it's kind of cool because looking at my notes, we get 7 new spells and a cantrip. I believe we've seen this cantrip before, Mind Sliver, which is actually, it's pretty nice because it sets you up to do other things. It's an action. It's got a range of 60 feet, lasts a round. You drive a disorienting spike of psychic energy into the mind of one creature. You can see within range of the target must make an intelligence saving throw. Unless the saving throw is successful, the target takes a die 6 psychic damage. And the first time it makes a saving throw before the end of your next turn, it must roll a d4 and subtract that number rolled from the save, and it scales like any other cantrip. So it's nice. This is the 1-2 punch. You hit them with this cantrip, or if for some reason you have a way to use it as a bonus action, you could blast them with this, and then they're going to have disadvantage on that saving throw when you hit them with the real spell.
Yeah, I like Psychic Crush. You overload the mind of one creature you can see within range. Target makes an intelligence saving throw. Takes 12d6 psychic damage and is stunned for a minute. On a successful save, the target takes half as much damage and isn't stunned. The fact that this class is mental based, there's a lot of spells in here that are requiring intelligence saving throws, and I like that, since so often you see those melee casters out, or the melee characters out there who are dumping intelligence, and this is a way to just be like, all right, I'm just going to bring the hammer down.
Well, I feel like most of these spells should be targeting intelligence or charisma, or wisdom. Psychic Crush, you're not going to get it for a while. It's a 6th-level spell.
Right.
I'm going to point out a spell that I'm actually annoyed with.
Psychic Blast,
or Psionic Blast, right? So I'm annoyed because I really think this should have mimicked the Mind Flayer ability a little bit closer. The naming convention is similar, if not the same. I don't remember off the top of my head. It's a 3rd level spell. The range is self, 30-foot cone, verbal component. You unleash a destructive wave of mental power in a 30-foot cone. So far, so good. Each creature in that area must make a dexterity saving throw. On a failed save, the target takes 5d8 force damage and is pushed 20 feet directly away from you and knocked prone. On a successful save, the target takes half damage and isn't pushed or knocked prone. You can pump this up, add more damage. It's not a bad spell. It's a great 3rd level spell. It's a cone attack, which just gives you another option. It does force damage, which is also really good. But
it's a dex save.
It's a dexterity save. I feel like it's something you shouldn't actually be able to see coming at you necessarily. We felt like if it was going to be physical, maybe strength or con might be better, almost like resisting cold attacks. But, I would have liked to have seen this been an intelligence or charisma and the stunning effect from the Mind Flayer.
Well, I mean, I like the being pushed away and prone. I think that is kind of cool. Like you're mentally blasting, them away. That can push and knock prone. I got no problems there. But to me, anytime I see dex save, it's like, oh, well, Rogue just ignored that. That's my, and Rogue is already so good. So that's my complaint as well. Psionic Blast changed that saving throw. I think if I'm going to use this in my games, I'm going to make my own change to that spell.
Are you thinking strength or are you thinking con then? Because if you're keeping with the push, then it's definitely still physical.
Yeah, I would say, go ahead and do it to strength would be fine for me.
Because they're just resisting.
Yeah.
I will say one of the really things that I love: Ego Whip, Id Insinuation, Intellect Fortress, Mental Barrier, Mind Thrust, Psychic Blast, Psychic Crush, Thought Shield. These are all psionic powers from earlier editions. Literally going back to 1A, these come from. And they kept the naming convention, and I love that little piece of nostalgia there.
Yeah, I agree as well.
So we get 2 half feats.
So we've got Telekinetic. You learn to move things with your mind. You gain the following benefits. Increase your intelligence score by 1 to a max of 20. You learn the Mage Hand cantrip and can cast it without verbal somatic components. And you can make the Spectral Hand invisible. As a bonus action, you can try to shove one creature you can see within 5 feet of the Spectral Hand created by your Mage Hand spell. When you do so, the target must succeed on a strength save. And it falls into that same convention for your DC 8, proficiency bonus plus intelligence modifier. And if they fail, they're pushed 5 feet away.
The person that this seems like it might be the most useful for is probably like the fighter type character. But if you're a psychic warrior, you already get the Mage Hand. And you don't automatically get the shove, but it's just like this little annoying thing that you can do on the battlefield. So it's good for flavor. I mean, it's not bad. It's a half fleet. You're going to gain an intelligence bonus. If you take this in addition to whatever else you want to do, it's not bad. I just think the people that would benefit from it the most, it's going to be the least useful too.
Well, I think, if you want to make a partially psionic character, this is where you go. This is where you can go. This is your magic initiate, kind of feat for your I want to be slightly psionic.
I would say it's one of,
yeah.
Because we have telepathic too. You awaken the ability to mentally connect with others. You gain the following benefits: increase your intelligence by 1, gain proficiency in one skill of your choice from the following list: deception, insight, intimidation, perception, or not persuasion. You can communicate telepathically with any creature you can see within 30 feet of you. If it understands at least one language, it can respond to you telepathically. That's pretty nice. Druid, anybody? Like, that just screams like, here's another way for the druid to get around the biggest, drawback of wild shape.
So I think, like some of these abilities are like small snippets from what the Psionic classes get. So it's like, well, if I want to get a little bit more of that, since all three of these classes are intelligence based, you can still be able to bump up that intelligence by one, get access to one of these other abilities that you might not have had. I think there's uses across the whole class base, or all three of these classes.
I think like both of these feats would be really cool for like if someone's playing an Eldritch Knight, but they wanted to flavor it instead of magic with more psionics. Like adding these two to the Eldritch Knight would be kind of cool. It would benefit. It would help bump up that intelligence for you, give you some extra abilities to do that are ribbony and slightly better. So that would definitely be cool. So all in all, I think it's decent. I like it. I don't know that I want to see Psionics completely manifested as subclasses in 5e. I think I still want a Psionic character class. Because the problem is subclasses add a flavor to the actual class, but in many cases it's just not quite enough to get you the full feel for something like a Scion or a Psychic Warrior.
I would agree. And, I doubled down on like, okay, even the wizard getting psionic abilities as a subclass, it is just not enough. And okay, you can go through and you've got 95 spells plus all of the new spells, plus, the 5 cantrips and the new cantrip. That is a lot of psionically flavored spells, and that is the bulk of what a wizard gets is spells. But to me, it just does not wholly make the mentalist, the mystic, the psionicist, whatever version you want to call it from editions past, it does not completely scream and feel this is the character class.
Yeah, I think Soul Knife gets the closest.
Yeah.
Because it requires the least, right? To be a Soul Knife and feel like a Soul Knife, what do you got to be able to do? Make mind knives, blades made of pure psionic energy, in which it does.
Right.
So that is the one that gets the closest to me. I think you had mentioned earlier that you would have rather seen that like a monk subclass instead of a rogue subclass. I think either kind of works, but I don't know. What do you folks think? We got a place where we can discuss it down in the comments below. Before we head on out, let me take a moment to invite you to join Nerdarchy, the Adventuring Party, over on Patreon. What can I expect there, Ted?
We're creating products for 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons that both players and DMs alike can drop right into their game.
That's not all. We do monthly giveaways, and our patrons are automatically entered.
We do weekly hangouts with our patrons and more.
So quest on down to the description, join the Nerdarchy Adventuring Party, and until next time,
stay nerdy.